the police officer behind this weekend's shooting of a woman in her own home. Aaron Dean has now been charged with murder. He shot and killed 28-year-old Atiana Jefferson inside her home while she was playing video games with a family member. The murder charges come after Dean resigned. Joining us from our affiliate KTVT in Dallas is Steve Pickett. Steve, full disclosure, the pastor of my church in Fort Worth, Texas, is a part of the community activists who are saying enough is enough. This woman was in her home playing a video game. A wellness check was called in, and it ended with her losing her life, Steve.
I can tell you, Tamron, as you know, throughout this entire area, everyone is saying, not again. How could this happen in this area of Dallas-Fort Worth again? As you mentioned, that police officer is now in jail accused of murder. A jaw-dropping act. As you know, it wasn't too long ago where we were right here talking about another case. Amber Geiger, former officer accused of killing her neighbor, Botham John. She convicted of murder. In this particular case, as you mentioned, Aaron Dean, that officer, shot and killed Atiana Jefferson in her own home. This was a welfare check call for police. A neighbor saw a door open at this location. 2 o'clock in the morning, was concerned. Mr. Dean and another officer went to that home. They never identified themselves as police. They searched the perimeter of that home with flashlights. You will see on that body cam video as he searches the perimeter, never announcing he's a police officer, he sees through a window, yells some kind of command, and fires his weapon. He shoots and kills that young woman, her 8-year-old nephew right by her side. We are told by the family she was simply taking care of that 8-year-old. They were playing video games, and now that family has to bury this loved one, and that police officer now facing murder charges. Tamron.
So obviously we know there is no tolerance for this. The mayor of Fort Worth already speaking out. The police chief also going on record here, Steve, which is often unusual for the police department to come out so strong, but we're seeing that here.
We, in this city, in Fort Worth, 9 officer-involved shootings this year alone, 9, including Tatiana Jefferson. So immediately, the mayor of Fort Worth, she said, this is not justified. There is nothing to justify this shooting. Strong words from the mayor. The police chief, interim police chief of Fort Worth, saying he had no answers. This was wrong. They believe this officer was not a reflection of the police department, and that's why he is under arrest. That is why he is facing charges. The other side of this equation, however, Tamron, is the family of Atiana Jefferson. They want an independent investigation. There's concern with the police department's de-escalation practices. When you have 9 officer-involved shootings, 6 people killed this year alone, obviously this case is generating a lot of attention and heartache.
Yeah.
But there's more to be said about what's happening with the Fort Worth Police Department.
All right, Steve, thank you very much. Let me bring in legal analyst Rachel Stockman from Law and Crime Network. Rachel, before I get our audience to tell me their thoughts, you heard Steve Pickett talk about de-escalation. I watched that video like many here over and over. We know the officer did not identify himself as a police officer. He said, put your hands up, put your hands up. And within a second, shots fired, she was killed. Is this an issue of a failure to train officers properly?
Well, in this case, there was a clear failure on behalf of this officer. He was sneaking around this woman's house. She had no idea he was there. He didn't knock on the door. He didn't identify himself as a Fort Worth police officer before, in just 2 seconds, if you watch that video, he opened fire. That was a failure of procedure right there.
He's charged with murder. You hear the video. I last night was just imagining what her last moments alive must have been like. She's sitting there, and let's say you hear a sound, you hear someone outside your home, you walk to your window and you peer out to see who's on your property, and you're gone.